When the Houthis decided to launch an attack against a US fighter jet, they believed they were sending a strong message to the world, but in reality, they were setting themselves up for one of the most humiliating military encounters of their history. The Houthis, operating from Yemen, have often relied on hit-and-run tactics, low-cost drones, and surface-to-air missile systems acquired through foreign support. And while these weapons are effective against unprotected targets or older aircraft, they are almost useless against the most advanced jets in the world. So when they locked their radars and missiles onto a US fighter flying near their range, they thought they had an opportunity to prove their strength. What they did not realize was that this was no ordinary jet. This was one of America's frontline aircraft equipped with cutting-edge stealth, radar, and defensive countermeasures. Within moments of the Houthis launching their missile, the US jet detected the threat, deployed electronic jamming, and released flares that misled the incoming strike, turning what the Houthis hoped would be a victory into a total failure. Yet that was only the beginning, because once the attack was confirmed, US forces activated their full response protocols, meaning surveillance drones, EWACS aircraft, and naval ships in the region all coordinated to pinpoint the exact launch sites of the Houthis. In less than minutes, the skies over Yemen transformed into a theater of overwhelming American power. Fighter jets armed to the teeth swept in to neutralize enemy radar and missile systems. Precision-guided bombs struck command centers, and the Houthis realized too late that their attempt to take down a single jet had awakened the fury of an entire fleet. The mistake was not just in targeting a US aircraft, but in targeting the wrong kind of aircraft, because this fighter was built for survival, speed, and dominance. And what the Houthis thought would be a quick victory turned into a nightmare that forced them into retreat. Now imagine being on the ground as a Houthi operator, watching your radar screen light up with American aircraft closing in, listening to the roar of jet engines overhead, and realizing that the very same skies you thought you controlled had suddenly become your enemy. The psychological shock was immense, because instead of inspiring fear in the US, their action triggered a devastating counterstrike that destroyed months of preparation in mere hours. Military analysts later explained that the jet the Houthis had attacked was equipped with next-generation radar that allowed it to track threats long before they were in danger range. It also had electronic warfare systems capable of blinding enemy guidance systems, meaning that the Houthis never really stood a chance. Their decision to go ahead with the attack showed a mixture of desperation and overconfidence, qualities that are dangerous in war, and what followed was a series of retaliatory strikes that not only destroyed the specific missile battery that had launched the attack but also dismantled nearby Houthi stockpiles, drone facilities, and command outposts, sending a message that any attempt to harm US assets would be met with. And here lies the real power of the story, because this was not just about one jet escaping danger, it was about how a single mistake by the Houthis triggered an avalanche of destruction that exposed the key gap between a militia group and a superpower. The lesson resonates far beyond Yemen, because it reminds other groups and nations that while it may seem tempting to challenge the US in symbolic ways, the cost of such actions is far greater than the benefits. The Houthis might have believed they could earn glory by shooting down a US fighter jet, but instead their story became one of regret, and the global military community studied this encounter as an example of how asymmetric forces can be crushed when they underestimate advanced air capabilities. The symbolism is clear. Attacking the wrong US fighter jet is like poking a lion in its eye. The response is immediate, brutal, and unforgettable. This incident remains a powerful narrative not just in American military history but in the wider discussion of modern conflicts, showing how arrogance can lead to defeat, how overconfidence can destroy entire campaigns, and how the might of a single fighter jet backed by the US military machine can change the course of a battle in minutes, making this one of the most striking reminders that in the world of aerial warfare, mistakes are not forgiven, and the Houthis paid the price for theirs.